one thing I want to make a note of is that when there are physical mountains, you don't just go and say, I'm going to tackle this 10,000 foot mountain, right? I'm going to get all the way up here and I can't wait to reach that level and that level of elevation, so to speak, right? You prepare, right? That means you need to be physically fit. That means you need to have been walking so many miles a day. That means you need to have been climbing so many hills and hiking so many mountains, so to speak. You don't just go into the point where you are climbing a 10,000 foot mountain and there is no preparation involved, right? And so when it comes to a physical mountain, you got to do what? You got to get fit, right? You got to have the right clothes. You got to have the right shoes. You got to have the right outerwear, as far as like sometimes a 4-in-1 jacket, so that way you can be prepared to take off all kind of different layers. You got to have the right equipment as far as the poles you need, and even with the shoes, you got to have certain things on the bottom of those for hiking shoes, right? And so when you think about it, whether it's an intellectual mountain where you're going higher and learning, whether it's a relational mountain you've reached in your romantic co-worker, business, ministry, and other different forms of relations that you're in with the relational mountain, when you've reached those, there's still work involved. We cannot go anywhere without having some type of work involved. And even when you reach your financial mountain, have reached a peak where you want to with your finances, there is work involved trying to get there, right? And so in the book, in chapter 1, it's a short chapter. It's a chapter that's packed with a lot of stuff that's going to get you thinking, right? Because we've got Cheryl, the main character, who is meeting up with some friends and they're heading to the mountains, right? And so Cheryl is dealing with some issues. And some of these issues that's brought up in this particular chapter is perfectionism. And we know that perfectionism is a fear-based response. And then we have self-awareness. Cheryl is very self-aware of her perfectionism and all of the issues that she has to overcome, right? And we also dealing with some self-regulation, right? When you know yourself, when you're self-aware, right? When it comes to your emotions, when it comes to your likes and dislikes, when it comes to your little quirks, when it comes to what ticks you off and your little pet peeves, you're able to self-regulate better. And then we have it where Cheryl made plans, right, for going to the mountains with her girlies, so to speak, based upon her needs. She planned based upon her needs, right? And how many times do we do stuff? Well, we want to get to that mountaintop of the promised land, but we're not even preparing for it, right? We're not making any plans. There's no strategy involved. And so then we do what? We have a problem taking place, right? Then we got some other issues though, right? Cheryl is on the phone with a friend who has made some last minute plans. And so what happens is when we've planned something based upon our own needs and then other people want to go and steer away from those plans, that becomes problematic. So not only is it problematic for Cheryl, it's going to be problematic for us when changes are made, right, to our operating system, right, to what it is we've got set up according to our needs, rather, we're going to feel some kind of way, right? Just like going out to eat dinner and everybody says, okay, let's split the bill. And you've only spent $12 on a veggie burger and some fries and everybody else got $35, $45 bills. And they've got drinks and everything, whereas you got water and you tried to be reasonable because maybe perhaps you just didn't want to spend the money or you didn't have it. Whatever the reason, that's your business. But then you lose your voice by not saying anything because of the fact that you don't want to do what? You don't want to hurt anyone else's feelings, right? And so what happens is that over time, when you constantly are faced in situations like this, where you worry about hurting someone else's feelings, and it ends up where you end up in a sticky situation, so to speak, right? And hanging out with self-righteous cerebral narcissists, you end up in a lot of sticky situations with them, right? Because they always want to change your operating system. No, I said it, I settled it, we're going to do it this way. Meet up at my house. I'm going to pick you up. I'm going to bring the food. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And it's like before you even have anything to say, you think, well, you know, I just should be thankful. I should just thank the Lord that I have good friends like this, and I should go on and accept what they've said, blah, blah, blah. But over time, you lose autonomy, right? Over time, you have no agency. Over time, this person has slowly, written new coding, right, for your operating system. They've actually written software and installed it on your operating system. And slowly over time, you have unknowingly and unintentionally given them permission to do it by not speaking up, right? Inflammation builds up in our systems from not speaking up. All kind of things happen. And just like Cheryl in chapter 1, you receive all of these cautions by your intuition, your gut instinct, right? By the Holy Spirit, but then ignoring them, right? Even when they don't feel right, that's where the problem comes in. And then we have in Matthew 17 where Jesus took Peter, James, and John with him up to the mountaintop, right? Sometimes you're going to have to go to the mountaintop alone. He trusted that they could handle what they were going to see. And he even told them afterwards, I don't want you going to tell anybody about this until after I'm resurrected. Like brought you guys here because I knew you could handle it. Okay, and then on a side note, don't be spreading my business, in other words, right? You got to be able to have some people that can go up to the mountain with you. And I want to read in Matthew 17, it says, and after 6 days, Jesus taketh Peter, James, and John, his brother, and bringeth them up on a high mountain apart. And he was transfigured before them, and his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as the light. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elias talking with him. Then answered Peter and said unto Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If thou wilt, let us make 3 tabernacles, one for thee, and one for Moses, and one for Elias. While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a voice out of the cloud which said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him. And when the disciples heard it, they fell on their face and were sore afraid. And Jesus came and touched them and said, Arise and be not afraid. And when they had lifted up their eyes, they saw no man save Jesus only. And as they came down from the mountain, Jesus charged them, saying, Tell the vision to no man until the Son of Man be risen again from the dead. And his disciples asked him, saying, Why then say the scribes that Elias must first come? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Elias truly shall first come and restore all things. But I say unto you that Elias is come already, and they knew him not, but have done unto him whatsoever they listed. Likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer of them. Then the disciples understood that he spake unto them of John the Baptist.